Around Abelia's table, a group of treasure hunters is having dinner around the dining table in Abelia Prim's manor. They share legends and stories about what drives them. In turn, you will each tell a personal story or legend associated with your drive, something that reveals something about why you do what you do. And everyone will listen carefully. And at the end, we will vote on the story that we liked best, or that the character who has the goal we deem most worthy. Your choice, how you vote. But in any case, that's what we shall do. And so, with the crackle of Abelia Prim's hearth in your ear, the statues in the corners not moving, definitely in one position. Please begin telling your tales. Whoever wants to go first.
We see Orlin, uh, since we're meeting her for the first time. She is this like older, femme-leaning person, like mid 50s, maybe a rough 48. Uh, she is covered in scar tissue. One eye is gone, one hand is missing fingers. Uh, the camera doesn't see it, but one of her legs is cut off just beneath the knee. The Sibelia Prem woman, the one that we've been essentially boarding with for the last few weeks. She reminds me of an old story that I was told as a child. There once was a woman in a faraway land, what is now the Sea of Bone. This woman got a little sapling from her grandmother, and she loved her grandmother very deeply. And so she loved this tree very, very deeply. But the tree wasn't doing so well. She went all throughout this land to find which dirt, food, which food, how to treat the water, where must this rest. And then she went all the way up to that land's king. And the king said that only my garden could support this tree this gift from your grandmother. And all you must do is raise the garden. It's been ages and ages since anyone beyond myself has seen the hanging gardens. But I have seen that tree before, and I will bring that tree to life again. Hopefully, this book will aid us. Hopefully, Abelia Prem will aid us. But I will see that tree again.
Thank you. Your story holds you in good stead with the company of Salt and Iron. You may add 1 gold directly to your hoard. Please continue, whoever would like to go next.
Bazo, a little red in the face, raises his glass. Red in the face doesn't look very good on Bazo. He is very red-haired to start with, but, you know, when you're in your cups. And he starts slurring slightly to tell a story. I used to make swords. Good ones, too. Blades that could sing through the air, slice clean as a thought. But the man who made them, he was dull steel, left out to rust. No fire in the forge of him. So I left that life behind. Took to work that didn't ask for inspiration, just a strong arm and a willingness to break a few laws. That's how I ended up in those woods the night the beast came. This isn't a ghost story, but it's about a haunting anyway. There were 5 of us and 1 prize. Lord Nagane's secret son. We took him easy enough, soft thing that he was, barely an adult. Barely struggled. We joked he wanted to be caught. We made camp and set our plans. Ransom would arrive quick. His father would pay. We'd be rich by week's end. But come midnight, something found us. came with no warning, no sound beyond the wind shifting the trees. The first man's throat was opened before he even reached for his knife. The second, gone in the dark with a scream that cut off too soon. We fired blindly into the trees, but it did no good. By the time it came for me, I was the only one left standing. The boy, no, the young man, was still there, huddled in the dirt, tiger eyes wide, frightened and wet in the firelight, holding out a knife towards the darkness, arms shaking. I saw him and something in me moved. I stepped between him and the thing in the dark. I don't remember the fight, just the heat of blood, the sting of claws, the weight of a body I could barely lift as I dragged him to safety. In the end, it left us. Maybe it had its fill. Maybe it didn't want me. Maybe it knew something I didn't, even then. We spent the night close, the way men do when they've seen something too big to hold alone. He shook in my arms, his fingers clutching the rough fabric of my coat. His lips were soft, and his fingers even softer. Not a single callus. Never had a hard day in his life. Till today. I told him it'd be all right, that I'd protect him always. I lied to him with my whole heart. Come morning, I took him home, left him in the arms of his father's men, turned my back on the gold they would have paid me for his return. I think I imagined his young kitten eyes pleading for me to stay. I knew I could never buy the kind of life he deserved. And now I see his eyes when I close my own. Wide and dark and shining like they did in the firelight, like they did in the morning sun, like they do when they haunt my dreams every damn night. I don't even know if I'd recognize him if I saw him again. He probably wouldn't even recognize me. Never was a rich man. I never was a particularly good man either. But that night, with him beside me, I think I almost was.
A few people around the table get up and hurriedly return to their sleeping bags for the night. Your story holds you in good stead with the company of salt and iron. You may add 1 gold directly to your hoard. Please continue.
I think our guest is sitting thinking about something, and the talk of the green ledger and of hidden knowledge, and he pulls out his miscellany and he says, "I have a story to read to you," and opens it to a section of the miscellany that's particularly old and dark and sort of looks like it's many hundreds of years old, and gingerly opens it to the first page and starts reading. And those who are closest to him can see it's in Kalduri, of an ancient dialect, and he's translating. And he says, "So, they say, before recorded history began, Garalum reigned. Garalum the geomancer, Garalum the Kalduri, Garalum the tyrant, Garalum the madman. Tales abound of his ancient evil, to rival the Order of the Dragon or the hated Pretender, the monsters of the Kaldor that used to strike the earth and command it. He was the father of the deep earth magic. They say he could quell earthquakes, shape volcanoes to his will, drawing heat and life from the blood of the earth like a parasite. He ruled as one of the undisputed masters of magic and technology at the time before the cataclysm, before the forest, before the retreat beneath the earth. His might was the height of old Kaldor's mastery. His great floating fastness filled the sky as the tithing time came near. His mighty army of geomancer acolytes were a feared force, extracting tribute and punishing disloyalty. Special staircases were constructed so that he might descend to earth to subjugate those who crawled below. Those who resisted were turned to stone on the spot, or slowly lowered into vats of magma to wild laughter. That was until his trusted advisors turned on him They left nothing to chance, dipping their obsidian blades in a poison distilled from his own magic-rich, immortal blood, drop by drop, over many decades. And as his body failed and turned on itself, he fell screaming from the balcony of his pleasure gardens of living stone. As he was dashed upon the rock below, he cursed the very earth itself, poisoning the source of geomancy. And his acolytes looked on in horror as they felt the change come upon them. Each died in agony, bodies slowly turning to stone. Those who dipped too deep into the magic were cursed to suffer their fate for all time. And they say that the fastness floats above the clouds still, descending to connect with the bridges in the remote ruins of tree-choked cities. The stories also spoke of treasure, great groaning vaults of tribute, and ill-gotten loot wait still in the dark. So what's the use of this tale, you might ask? Well, I agree. Knowing why I'm cursed makes no difference. I too am a practitioner of the arts. I too touched the source. I have contracted the curse. Only the cure can end my suffering and that of the world. Yet I never find the cure, and I never die. My life is the curse, and that's the joke. That's why I like to take life with a sense of humor. And he just laughs and like downs more wine and just slams the book closed.
Your story holds you in good stead with the company of Salt and Iron. You may add 1 gold directly to Hoard. Rias Lasmat.
Yeah. Rias has been like peering at Bazo from across the table for this one, this last while. He says, "You should abandon this quest. Let me tell you a little about who it is that you're trying to court." One of the first places I looked for entrances to the Azure archives was the Royal Library of Nagane. In the days of Seta Il Snow, the Royal Library was one of the great wonders of the world. According to legend, it housed the gate to the Azure archives, by which Queen Setet herself would go to and from. But those days, if they ever were, they're long gone. The current rulers, the Ilsram, they do not crave dark knowledge as the Il Snow did. They simply covet and contain, hoarding their treasures, not even for their own delight, but simply to keep others from having them. They sealed the main entrance, so the only way in now is from above, a breach in the upper wall. There were rumors they put a monster inside the library to guard their secrets, and that they fed this terrible monster by simply throwing food into the breach. It was even said that the Ilsram had developed a new form of execution, simply tossing a condemned criminal into the library and waiting. But it was my best lead. I'd have to search there if I wanted to find the archives. So I went in by moonlight. It's easy to avoid the guards. I know 1 or 2 back passages that Ilsram does not know about or does not care enough to patrol. So I made it to the library undetected. I tossed a rope into the breach and climbed down, not knowing what awaited me. And I was foolish, stupid. I should have died. Because that monster of the Royal Library is no legend nor rumor. Rias Ilsmat is what I heard from the darkness. It was this broken voice, a hissing whisper. What crime didst thou commit? I replied to this, I am Rias Ilsmat, though I have committed no crime but this trespass. I come here seeking an entrance to the Azure archives or knowledge how to find one from my mother, Anarita Ilsmat. She's lost inside and has forgotten her name. There was this shifting sound. Something moved amongst the stone and the dust. Rias Ilsmat, thou must leave this place. Or if thou wilt not, thou must do exactly as I tell thee, on pain of death. Dost thou understand these terms? I replied thus, I do not understand them, but so long as they do not bar me from my ends, I shall agree to them. This voice, it bade me tear a strip of cloth from my robe and blindfold myself with it. And I asked myself, how am I to find knowledge in a library if I cannot see or read? And the monster hissed, wouldst thou break thine oath to me so swiftly? A little ashamed of myself, I did as it asked. And then that shuffling grew closer. The voice bade me to be still. I felt claws touch me on my arms, my shoulders, and my face. All this while, a chorus of hissing snakes all around me. Again, it told me to move not or perish. It tested my blindfold. And then when it was satisfied, it spake again. Thou hast changed, Rias Ilsmats. So I asked, who are you? What dost thou remember of Stena Ilskala? Children children of the royal family who are children of families who serve the royal family were raised communally. There's a barracks just outside the royal palace, and often one or both parents are away on duty, so we are raised together in clutches. Stena Ilskala was a few years older than me, but she and I were raised together in this way. She's like a big sister to me. We gathered water, we did chores together. She put me in my place when I had the tantrums that every child has. Coincidentally, she also taught me how to read. But when I was perhaps 7 or 8 years old, her father, Thuban, he failed his task to Ilsram in some way. Such was the penalty for his letdown that the whole of his family was to be punished. Little Stena was given one of Nagane's most foul curses. They tied her to an altar, and then her hair was warped to a living mass of poisonous snakes, and her eyes, any being that met her gaze, would be turned to stone. This transformation, much like mine own, was not kind, nor gentle, nor painless. And when it was done, they made it so her first victim was her father. They made them look at each other. The last thing Thuban Ilskala ever saw in this world was his daughter's warped visage. It was she that the Ilsram threw into the royal library and sealed there. It was she who turned those who offended the Ilsram to stone. It was she that the Ilsram cut off from all sunlight, all joy, fed her and kept her like an animal. They made her into a monster. And it was she, Stena Ilskala, who turned her head when I peered into the darkness, where the shadows scraped against statues that were once men. We wept together in each other's arms for our lost families, for each other. I could not stay long, lest the patrols see my rope descending into the breach. But over the next 6 months, I would visit twice, 3 times a week. We found ways to keep from meeting eyes safely. I read what I could, while Stena plumbed the depths of the library, finding corners she had never explored. I learned my little bits of dungeoneering from her. She continued to be my teacher. Only once did I ask if I could help her escape, but she replied that she had nowhere to go. The world outside would not have her. To them, she's a monster. Nor did she have the skills to survive on her own in the wilderness. And for all their faults, the Ilsram kept her fed and sheltered. I sold some of the treasures from the library, bringing the world outside to her instead, in food, in toys, in simple things like a bed. But over time, it became clear that if there was an entrance to the Azure archives there, it was too well hidden for us to locate, or locked behind some forgotten ritual magic from the days of Queen Setet Ilsno. Stena is still down there. But I had to move on. There are other leads to pursue.
Your story holds you in good stead with the company of Salt and Iron. Please add 1 gold to your hoard. And now the very hard vote. This will be a very tough vote. This is probably going to be the toughest one yet. Whichever character's story appealed to you the most, type that character's name into the chat, but do not hit enter yet. And then on the count of 3, once I get once I know everyone's ready, we will reveal who we're going to vote for. And remember, you can vote for whatever criteria you wish. 1, 2, 3, vote. Interesting. This is not how I thought it was going to go. Bazo, you got the win. That is going to be a. No, I mean, your story was great. Don't get me wrong, but
Oh, we
Yeah.
tied.
Yeah, there's
oh, is there a tie? Oh, who? Oh, it was Horagist and Basso. Oh, okay. Well, you both get an extra 1 gold each to put into your hoard, and but fabulous job, everyone. The stories were amazing. I don't think I can ever kill Rhea Sismot now. I feel like he's got plot armor. All right.
Better than gold, honestly.
Indeed.
hmm
Everyone eventually gets up from the table, heads back to their tents or whatever rooms, if they've managed to claim a room in the manor. The hard work of turning Abelia Prim's Manor into a new base of operations for the Company of Salt and Iron begins tomorrow. And I will see you all on Discord.